So people who are buying at distance, how often do they come to Classic Auto Mall? How often do they send an inspector? How does that work?
So about 80 or 90% of the time, they either come themselves, or they send their buddy who's somewhat local, or they hire a company.
Okay.
And either of them, all of those work. The companies are great because there's a lot of companies out there that do these inspections, and you want to get one that specializes in classic cars because their perception of a car, a 1957 Chevy versus a 2020 Toyota Camry are completely different cars. They're different animals. This one's going to be crusty looking underneath a little bit. This one's going to be nice and clean. They don't understand that they do leak a little bit of oil, and that's not the end of the world. But sometimes they make it out to be, oh my God, this is catastrophic, and it's not. And what I recommend to people is get an appraisal based on insurance, not on replacement value or anything like that. Get the appraisal so the number will be a number that's comfortable for you and for your bank, and for when you go to have the car insured. You don't want to have it appraised and they say it's worth $20,000 and you paid $50,000 for it. You want to be able to have that spread on there so you can insure it properly with agreed value insurance with one of these companies, and a bad appraisal or appraisal that doesn't have that value can hurt that. So
and do the people sorry to interrupt, people from California, whatever, do they ask you for referrals as far as inspectors?
Sometimes,
or they just on their own?
We have a list. We're happy to give them. We the one thing we try to be careful of is we don't want people to think that we're recommending our buddy down the street who's going to give it a glowing review.
Right.
Most of these guys that we recommend are licensed inspection companies in the state of Pennsylvania. And if, for example, they inspect a car and say that the brakes are great and the brakes fail on it, it comes back on them. And so there is liability on that. And these inspection companies that will inspect their buddy's car and give it flying colors and only to find out that all these things that are safety-wise don't work, they can lose their inspection license. So I wouldn't be as worried about us recommending a safety company, but again, it's your own preference. You can go on Google and find anything you want. If you want to find an inspection company, they're out there. Again, make sure that they understand classic cars. So.
Got it.
You're welcome, Steve. Thanks for asking.
Just popped into my head because I really haven't met any. Like most of the sales people that I work with are local. Right. Walk in the place usually. So I haven't really dealt with people. Sure.
And I think in the future, I'd like to, we're a little limited on time today, but I'd like to go over the entire process of what happens from soup to nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great thing because, the assumption is always you have to be careful in any business that's a specialty type business that you don't just assume that everybody knows what the hell you're blabbering about. We talk about things and we say terms and we say non-numbers matching, or we say, a sympathetic restoration, or there's all these terms that we use that, we shouldn't just assume that people know what we're talking about.
Miles deep paint.
Miles Deep. Was he a sax player or jazz?
Yeah, Miles Deep.
Miles Deep. Yeah, Miles Deep.
So, you don't want to be that kind of elitist special interest car people. You don't want to act like you're smarter than everybody because what a 327 cubic inch Chevy is supposed to do, or what rear end that is, or what type of this it is, or any of that stuff. That's not what perpetuates the hobby. It pushes people away, and we don't want to do that.
The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stewart Howden.